After the success of films like Joker, the first one, Megamind, and Morbius, unfortunately, plus all that buzz for Thunderbolts tonight, villains are hot right now. Here are some villains that we hope to see on the big screen sometime pretty soon. Up first, taking that 10th spot is Magneto. Magneto has been featured heavily in many movies, but he hasn't had his own true solo moment. Magneto actually almost got his own solo film. It was going to be part of an X-Men Origins series, X-Men Origins Wolverine being the first, but unfortunately, there were a bunch of issues both outside the project and inside just made the film too hard to make and it was scrapped. Though fans did get a condensed look at Magneto's origin in the prequel X-Men film, so at least we got something. But Magneto deserves his own movie because he is one of the most complex and compelling characters in the Marvel Universe, with a rich backstory rooted in real historical trauma. Magneto's worldview and stance on mutant supremacy stem from his harrowing experiences, which then drive his fierce determination to protect mutants from similar fates. This deep personal history adds layers of moral ambiguity to his character, making him more than your typical villain and more of an anti-hero, whose extreme methods contrast with his genuine desire for mutant survival and justice. His ideological conflict with Professor X over mutant-human coexistence further enriches his narrative, providing a powerful exploration of themes like fear, prejudice, and the cost of survival. Additionally, Magneto's immense powers, leadership of the Brotherhood of Mutants, and evolving role from villain to occasional ally offer dynamic storytelling potential that merits a standalone film to fully explore his motivations, struggles, and his impact on the mutant world. Next up is The Sphinx. A film about the Sphinx would be a blend of ancient mysticism, tragic immortality, biblical texts, and complex motivations. He was once the chief wizard under Pharaoh Ramesses II. He was banished after his magical prowess was deemed inferior to Moses. His discovery of the sentient Ka stone granted him immortality and vast superhuman powers, launching him into 5,000 years of wandering the earth, often intervening in human history out of boredom and existential despair. Unlike many villains, the Sphinx is driven not by a lust for power alone, but by a deep desire to end his own endless existence, making his story both epic and deeply personal. His encounters with legendary figures, mastery of both mystical and technological arts, and his role as a major adversary to heroes like Nova and the Fantastic Four provide a rich narrative material for a film that could explore themes of purpose, obsession, and the burden of immortality. Plus, anything that has to do with ancient Egypt and archaeology, it does well and it's interesting and I would like to see it. The combo of historical intrigue, philosophical depth, and superhuman spectacle makes The Sphinx a compelling candidate for a standalone cinematic exploration. At number 8, because she ate, is Stained Glass Scarlet. Now, I must admit that this is a bit of a biased pick because I'm personally very fascinated by her. I love her concept and design, and I really want to see more of her. In her original appearance, she was one of those one and done, one issue, that's all kind of antagonist to Moon Knight, but luckily someone else was also very interested in the character and decided to bring her back, again for one issue, but this time in the modern age. She was a woman mistreated throughout her life, which led her to seeking revenge and ending people. Eventually, she was ended in a church. However, the story of her life and how she successfully sought revenge made its way around, and pretty soon people started worshipping her and praying to her for revenge against those that wronged them. So many people did this that Scarlet became a god, a metaphysical being made of stained glass. I just think a movie about her could be visually stunning because of these stained glass elements and the fact that it would technically begin a few decades ago. In her first appearances, as a regular woman, she looked like an old Hollywood star in a floor-length gown, absolute diva. Plus, she's a Moon Knight villain, and Moon Knight is also very interesting, and I want to see more of him too, so it's two birds, one stone. At number 7 is a pick that is also pretty self-indulgent, Calendar Man. I love this Batman villain, he is so ridiculous. Calendar Man has already appeared as a small character in a couple movies and TV series, but A, I want to see more, and B, it isn't the version of the character that I want to see featured in these movies. The Calendar Man, heavily featured now in comics, video games, movies, he's really edgy. They made him grittier for modern audiences, and I do get that, it had to be done. But the Calendar Man that I want a movie for is the camp one, the one that themes his attacks to the holidays. The guy that changed his villain outfit 6 times in one issue to make sure that he was on theme with the crimes that he was committing. The guy that dressed like a snowman and a daisy and wore the moon as a helmet. The version that has appeared so far is not really that guy. The current guy is still obsessed with the calendar, of course, I mean it's in the name, but his expression of that is more tough guy. He's got a tattoo around his head of the months. The Harley Quinn show kind of combined this modern idea and the older versions of the character, which I did appreciate, but just imagine an animated movie about this guy, like a Christmas Batman special or something. Coming in at number 6 is Vandal Savage. He is compelling and unique with a narrative scope that spans the entirety of human history. As an immortal who has influenced and manipulated major events from the rise and fall of empires to some of history's darkest moments, Savage offers a villain whose motivations are rooted in a millennia of experience, cunning, and ambition. His origin gaining immortality, genius-level intellect, and superhuman abilities from a prehistoric meteorite, it sets him apart from typical antagonists, allowing for a movie that would blend historical drama, science fiction, and modern superhero action. Savage's complex psychology, ruthless pursuit of power, and ability to adapt across eras makes him a formidable foe for heroes like the Justice League, Batman, and the Titans, while his personal relationships add depth and emotional stakes to the character. A film centered on Vandal Savage would not only explore the dark side of immortality and the burden of endless ambition, but also provide a fresh, epic-scale perspective within the superhero genre, appealing to fans of both historical fiction and comic book action. And at the halfway point, coming in at number 5 is Kulan Gath. Kulan Gath should get feature film treatment because of his unique origin, his terrifying powers, and the fresh narrative possibilities that he would bring to the screen. Unlike many Marvel antagonists, Kulan Gath began life as a child worker who, after years of harm, ended his tormentor and assumed the name of the original Kulan Gath, setting out on a relentless quest for mystical power. Rejected by the Sorcerer Supreme of his era, he turned to darker arts, ultimately resorting to ending people and consuming other magic users, which unleashed a primal bloodlust and made him one of the most dangerous sorcerers in Marvel history. His ability to alter reality, possess hosts across centuries, and transform entire cities into nightmarish versions of this ancient world makes him a threat like pretty much anyone else, capable of challenging not just the individual heroes, but the entire Marvel universe. A film centered around him could explore the themes of trauma, ambition, and the corrupting nature of power, while offering visually stunning sequences of magical warfare and alternate realities. His story would not only introduce audiences to the darker, more mystical corners of Marvel, but also provide a compelling, complex villain whose motivations and methods set him apart from the typical supervillain fare. Now, and I'm assuming you, would have loved a Kang the Conqueror movie. We did get to see the character in the MCU, of course, with Jonathan Majors as Kang in Loki and a bigger role in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, but then Majors got into some legal trouble, he was cancelled, and also Quantumania wasn't that great of a movie, and the character of Kang is kind of now just stuck in purgatory. Who knows if he's ever actually gonna come back? There's rumors that he will, and there's rumors that he won't, especially considering that the movies that he was going to be the big bad for were changed to Doctor Doom, played by Robert Downey Jr. So who knows if we'll ever actually get a Kang movie, maybe in a few years, and they can recast and make it outside of the MCU or something like that. Hitting the top 3, we have Mephisto, one of Marvel's most powerful and malevolent villains, ruler of a fiery nether realm and drawing strength from the souls of the damned. His immense cosmic power, mastery of manipulation, and ability to alter reality make him a uniquely dangerous foe who has tormented major heroes like Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, Thor, and the Avengers throughout Marvel history. Unlike typical villains, Mephisto operates through deceptive bargains and psychological torment, creating deeply personal and high-stake conflicts. His rich backstory as a devilish entity with mysterious origins and his multiversal ambitions add layers of complexity that would translate well to a dark, compelling cinematic narrative. Moreover, his iconic role in pivotal storylines such as Spider-Man: One More Day and his ongoing multiverse war against the Avengers highlight his significance and potential as a central antagonist, making a solo film about Mephisto a thrilling exploration of evil and power in the Marvel Universe. And for our runner-up, we have The One Below All. The One Below All deserves their own movie because they represent the ultimate embodiment of evil and destruction in the Marvel Universe, serving as the dark cosmic counterpart to the One Above All, Marvel's supreme being. Unlike typical villains, The One Below All is not just a threat to an individual hero, but to the entire multiverse, seeking to end the cycle of creation itself and leave nothing but emptiness and silence. Their influence is deeply tied to the origins of gamma energy, making them central to the Hulk's mythology and the stories of all gamma mutates, which would allow for a film that explores both cosmic horror and the psychological depths of characters like Bruce Banner, for example. The One Below All's ability to possess and corrupt powerful beings, including the Hulk and the Leader, adds layers of existential dread and personal stakes, culminating in apocalyptic scenarios. A movie centered on The One Below All would not only introduce audiences to into Marvel's most profound and terrifying force, but also explore themes of creation, destruction, and the duality of existence on a scale never before seen in superhero cinema. And finally, our top choice today, the Batman Who Laughs. I love this villain. He is so interesting, especially because he was once the ultimate hero, Batman. For a man that is so good at being a hero, it makes sense that he would also be so good at being a villain. The story behind the Batman Who Laughs is very, very interesting, and of course it provides plenty of opportunities for commentaries to be made on Batman, the real one, and vigilantism. The character design is haunting, and it's chilling, and it's hard to look at, and it would be easy to translate from the comics to the screen because it is just a guy. Plus, the character is made up of some of the most commercially successful characters ever, the Batman and the Joker. Put them together, and yeah, you're going to make money. The only thing that I imagine that's stopping this movie from being made is they just rebooted Batman, the Joker 2 just flopped, and you kind of need an established Batman to make this work better. The Batman Who Laughs I think would maybe work as an animated film, but I will take whatever they give me.
Apocalypse, the ancient mutant overlord, kicks off our list as one of Earth's first mutants, born over 5,000 years ago. Also known as Ensaba Nur, he possesses the extraordinary ability to control every molecule of his body, granting him a vast array of powers. This includes shapeshifting, allowing him to alter his form at will, growing to immense sizes, transforming his limbs into weapons, and adapting to any environment. He also boasts incredible regeneration, healing from most injuries through a trance-like state, and further enhanced by celestial technology. Apocalypse can manipulate energy, absorbing and projecting vast amounts, even countering Cyclops' optic blasts. Moreover, he possesses powerful telepathy and telekinesis, controlling minds and manipulating objects with his thoughts. These powers are further amplified by celestial technology, granting him teleportation and force field generation. Driven by his survival of the fittest philosophy, Apocalypse seeks to create a world dominated by the strong. A movie centered on this visually dynamic villain could delve into his ancient origins in Egypt, depicting his battles with Ramatut, Kang the Conqueror, and encounters with the Celestials. It could showcase his terrifying reign over a mutant-ruled world and his conflicts with heroes like the X-Men and Avengers. Furthermore, his complex relationship with his horsemen, including Archangel, could be explored in greater depth, making for a compelling and visually stunning cinematic experience. Next on the list is Owen Reese, the Molecule Man, whose seemingly simple name belies his immense power. A freak lab accident granted him the ability to manipulate matter on a cosmic scale, allowing him to transmute matter, create force fields, and even warp reality itself. He can disintegrate objects into their basic molecules, demonstrated by his ability to break down formidable items like Captain America's shield and Thor's hammer. Moreover, he possesses the power of resurrection, proving his ability to return from death. Molecule Man's powers are so vast that he's considered a threat to the entire multiverse. A movie centered on him could explore his troubled past, his struggle to control his overwhelming powers, and the cosmic ramifications of his actions. It could showcase his epic battles with the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and cosmic entities like the Beyonder. His complex relationship with his son, a construct he created, would also provide a compelling and emotionally resonant element to the story, making for a visually stunning and thought-provoking cinematic experience. At number 8, the formidable ruler of Latveria, Dr. Doom, claims his place. Victor Von Doom, a genius-level intellect with expertise in both science and sorcery, stands as a master strategist, skilled sorcerer, and ruthless tyrant driven by his ambition to rule the world. His powers stem from his technological prowess, manifested in his advanced armor granting superhuman strength, durability, and flight, and his mystical mastery allowing him to cast spells, summon demons, and manipulate magical energies. He has even achieved time travel through his technological innovations. Doom's damaged psyche adds to his unpredictability and danger, and he's a master of deception and persuasion, adept at manipulating others to serve his ambitions. Dr. Doom, one of Marvel's most iconic and enduring villains, undeniably deserves a movie. Such a film could delve into his tragic backstory, explore his intense rivalry with Reed Richards, whose intellect rivals his own, and chart his relentless quest for ultimate power, potentially culminating in his transformation into God Emperor Doom. It could also showcase his iron-fisted rule over Latveria, his epic battles with the Fantastic Four, and the complex, often contradictory relationship he maintains with his people, providing a rich and compelling narrative. Securing the 7th spot is Mephisto, the Marvel Universe's devil, a demonic entity ruling a fiery realm known as Hell, where he revels in tormenting mortals and claiming their souls. His powers include reality warping, allowing him to manipulate reality, alter memories, and create illusions, and soul manipulation, enabling him to capture and control souls to amplify his power. Mephisto is infamous for numerous evil acts, including the erasure of Spider-Man's marriage. Mephisto deserves a movie to bring a darker, more sinister tone to the MCU, exploring the depths of the Marvel Universe's dark side. Such a film could showcase his manipulative tactics, sinister deals, and the terrifying consequences of crossing him, featuring his battles with heroes like Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, and the Avengers, offering a chilling and compelling cinematic experience. Landing at number 6 is Kang the Conqueror. The time-traveling warlord, Nathaniel Richards, a genius from the 31st century, employs advanced technology to conquer various timelines. His powers include time travel, allowing him to traverse through time, creating alternate timelines and realities, and advanced technology, featuring futuristic weapons, armor, and a time-traveling ship, including a ray gun capable of sapping a person's strength and willpower. He is also a strategic genius and tactician. Kang deserves a movie to fully realize his potential as a major player in the MCU's multiverse saga. A Kang movie could be a mind-bending adventure through time, showcasing his diverse conquests, epic battles with the Avengers, and the intricate web of alternate timelines he weaves. It could also delve into his various personas, such as Ramatut, Immortus, and Iron Lad, providing a complex and compelling narrative that explores the vast possibilities of the multiverse. Landing halfway through our list is the Mad Titan Thanos, a character whose complexity warrants further exploration despite his significant MCU presence. He possesses superhuman strength and durability, ranking among the Marvel Universe's strongest beings, coupled with energy manipulation, allowing him to absorb and project cosmic energy, and powerful telepathy and telekinesis. Driven by a desire to impose order on chaos, his actions are motivated by complex compulsions, and he displays an uncanny ability to defy death. While Thanos has already played a major role in the MCU, a solo film could delve deeper into his backstory, exploring his origins on Titan, his nihilistic philosophy, and his intricate relationship with death. It could also showcase his ascent to power and his reign as a cosmic warlord, revealing the true depths of his evil, which were only glimpsed in the cinematic adaptations. In the comics, Thanos has committed even more horrific acts, including the chilling act of killing his own mother, providing a darker and more nuanced portrayal of this iconic villain. At number 4, we encounter the Devourer of Worlds, Galactus, a cosmic entity that traverses the universe, consuming planets to sustain his life force. He wields the power cosmic, granting him near limitless power, including energy manipulation, matter transmutation, and telepathy, and he can alter his size at will. Galactus is not inherently evil, but rather a force of nature compelled to consume planets for sustenance. Galactus deserves a movie to fully realize his potential as a visually stunning and awe-inspiring threat in the MCU. A film about Galactus could be a cosmic epic, showcasing his destructive power, his battles with heroes like the Fantastic Four and the Silver Surfer, and the moral dilemmas inherent in his existence. The film could delve into his origins as Galen, his transformation into Galactus, and his complex role as a balancing force in the universe, providing a visually spectacular and intellectually stimulating cinematic experience. Claiming the third spot is Dormammu, the ruler of the Dark Dimension, a demonic entity of pure mystical energy driven by the ambition to conquer Earth and merge it with his own realm. His powers include mystical mastery, granting him complete control over the Dark Dimension's magic, devastating energy projection, and the ability to bestow portions of his powers to others, making them incredibly dangerous. Dormammu deserves a movie to fully showcase his visually spectacular nature, immense power, and menacing presence. A film about Dormammu could be a mind-bending journey into the Dark Dimension, featuring his epic battles with Doctor Strange and the mystical forces safeguarding Earth. The film could also delve into his complex relationship with his niece, Clea, and explore the potential threat posed by his followers, the Mindless Ones, creating a visually stunning and mystically rich cinematic experience. Securing the second spot is Magus, the evil counterpart of Adam Warlock, a techno-organic entity and galactic tyrant driven by the desire to conquer the universe and impose his will on all life. He possesses shape-shifting abilities, incredible superhuman strength, and the power to manipulate energy and technology. Magus deserves a movie to fully realize his potential as a powerful and visually visually compelling villain with a unique connection to Adam Warlock. A film centered on Magus could be a cosmic adventure brimming with action, intrigue, and philosophical exploration of the nature of good and evil. It could delve into his origins as a future corrupted version of Adam Warlock, his creation of the Universal Church of Truth, and his epic battles with heroes like the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers, offering a visually stunning and intellectually engaging cinematic experience. And finally, claiming the #1 spot is Vulcan, the most powerful of the Summers brothers, Gabriel Summers, an Omega-level mutant with the ability to manipulate vast amounts of energy. He can absorb, manipulate, and project all forms of energy, fly at incredible speeds, and create powerful force fields. Vulcan's powers are so vast that he's been able to defeat powerful opponents like Gladiator and even briefly usurp the Shi'ar throne. Vulcan deserves a movie to fully explore his complex and powerful villainy, tragic backstory, and unique connection to the X-Men. A film about Vulcan could delve into his origins as the third Summers brother, his harrowing upbringing as a Shi'ar slave, and his relentless struggle to control his immense power. The film could showcase his epic battles with the X-Men, his ambitious rise to power in the Shi'ar Empire, and his eventual dramatic downfall, providing a compelling and visually spectacular cinematic experience that explores themes of power, family, and redemption.
Number 10, Mr. Sinister. We were so close to getting Mr. Sinister in a film. He was hinted at in Fox's The New Mutants, which was basically held hostage for quite some time after the merger between Disney and Fox happened, and then when it was released, it didn't do so well. I still feel like there was stuff that was meddled with there, despite Josh Boone swearing that the cut that got released was basically untouched by the studios and was totally his intended cut. I do not buy it. I'm sorry, Josh Boone, I don't believe you. One of the things the film sets up, though, is a property where Nathaniel Essex could study mutants and even turn them into his weapons under the guise of helping to rehabilitate them. This place was known as the Milbury House, which was, of course, Mr. Sinister's ancestral home in the comics, and Milbury is actually a name that he uses while traveling abroad in the comics after becoming Mr. Sinister, kind of like one of his undercover names. It was the surname of his wife, Rebecca. It would be really cool to see a movie that solely focuses on Sinister, as he's such a complex character, and recently there's also been a sort of like Jekyll Hyde element added to his origin story that I think could make for a great X-Men horror film spin-off. And considering that's kind of what the New Mutants felt like it was doing, it was like a little bit like teen coming of age as well as a horror film. I really want that to happen. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, do not miss out on all of our cool content. Make sure you click that subscribe button and ring that bell so you get all of our notifications. Number 9, Mr. Freeze. While Mr. Freeze has made a few appearances in live action, he has never had his own solo film. He is one of the most complex villains around, which is why I think he would actually be a pretty admirable candidate overall. Mr. Freeze would be an interesting character to explore, considering he was made to be so altruistic in terms of his reason for villainy, and over the years he's just like become like more and more altruistic. However, some have taken him too far, I would say, to the side of sympathetic villain, and it would be nice to see a film that more finely strikes a balance on kind of where he stands between being a villain but also like having his reasons. For those who are unaware, Mr. Freeze isn't just a man obsessed with cryogenics. He's a man and scientist whose interest in cryogenics turned to obsession after his wife Nora was diagnosed with an incurable disease. Rather than lose her, he decided to freeze her until he could find a cure. And there's also been other versions of the story where it's not just about him helping her. She may not even have been his wife. They may have never been married. He might just be obsessed with this woman. So there's lots of layers you could play with there. And his whole goal is apparently to protect Nora, preserve her, protect her, and that tends to be his motivation for turning to crime in terms of how he and his story are depicted in the modern era. Now, whether or not she's actually his wife, you could play with that, I think, in the film. I think it could be interesting. Number 8, Arcade. I was just thinking about Arcade the other day when I was doing a reaction to the new Saw film trailer. It's interesting to me how this idea of playing a game where the stakes are at their most high with lives on the line is kind of a universal concept at this point. We see this idea echoed across various films and projects, a perversion of the concept of a game. Look at Battle Royale, Hunger Games, Squid Game, Saw, fun in games to an extent, Ready or Not, and honestly so many more. Arcade is a villain who embodies this twisted idea. He likes to trap people in his own vicious game, often devising an elaborate maze or landscape of death traps typically known as Murder World. While he's not the most powerful villain out there, he's definitely super interesting, and he represents a concept that people universally seem to be both attracted to and kind of repulsed by, which can make for a very interesting film. Number 7. Kite Man. Kite Man might be flying a little higher now that he's become a fan favorite thanks to his appearance in the Harley Quinn animated series, but we still have yet to get a live action version of this character. Honestly, the Harley Quinn animated series has also left me wanting more Kite Man as well. That combined with the amazing cosplays that I've seen based on that version, it's honestly inspired me to want to see Kite Man on a big screen. I could definitely see Kite Man fitting easily into James Gunn's DCU, that's for sure. So maybe James Gunn will give us a Kite Man movie. That would be kind of interesting. I think people would love it. I think it would be as successful, if not more successful even maybe than Peacemaker. Number 6. Madeline Pryor. Obviously, I can't talk about villains who deserve their own movie without highlighting one of my personal all-time favorites, Madeline Pryor. I also may selfishly want her to have her own film so I can get the chance to play her, but honestly, she's one of the greatest characters out there. So even if it wasn't me but someone else in that role, I would still be just super excited to have her up on the big screen. But Marvel, if you're watching, I have the skills and I would be happy to step into the Queen of Goblin's shoes if you would have me. Why does Madeline Pryor deserve her own film? Because she is one of the most complex villains out there. While she is a clone of Jean Grey, Madeline shies away from letting this define her or her character. And I'd even say there are layers baked into her character in actually relation to Jean and her relationship with her. She resents Jean, but she also admires her, putting her up on a pedestal. She also despises her, but at the same time, Maddie would not exist without her. Like I said, she may be Jean's clone, but that doesn't simplify anything for her character. It actually makes her more complex. Number 5. Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy has always been considered a classic character, and yet we haven't had a live action adaptation of her on the big screen for some time. We've seen her pop in here and there in TV shows, but I'm still waiting for the next big project where she can really soak up the limelight. Ideally, a very lime green limelight. I feel like a solo Poison Ivy film could be a great way to introduce Pam to an even larger audience in 2023 or beyond, and what better time for an eco-terror villain, honestly, or an eco-horror film, perhaps, than right now. This is basically what we're just dealing with on the everyday. So there's a lot you could play with, and I feel like people would be super here for it mentally. Number 4. Destiny. Destiny is a villain that until recently most folks had forgotten about because she was dead. In the films, she doesn't even really exist. And while I didn't mind the weird love triangle turned kind of love square in the X-Men First Class films between Mystique and Magneto and Professor X and Beast, I would like to acknowledge that those films pretty much erased one of Mystique's most important relationships from the comics. If not, I would say the most important relationship. The love between her and her wife, Destiny. Destiny for many years was allied with Mystique, and together they even adopted Rogue, with her being their daughter that they raised together. I would love a feature film that showcases Destiny and also highlights the love story of her and Raven. It would really be nice to have, considering how for so many years comic book censorship actually prevented them from even being a firmly established couple in the comics, despite that always being Chris Claremont's intentions for their relationship with one another. Literally, they were supposed to be the moms of Nightcrawler, and then that never happened. It's all censorship, baby. Number 3. Brother Blood. Brother Blood has recently had a comeback in the comics with his reappearance in the current Titan series. He's posing as a reformed villain currently, but I, for one, I'm skeptical about that. Honestly, he's just too good of a villain for him to be reformed in my eyes, and I'm hoping we get to see just how bad he truly ends up being. Fingers crossed. Brother Blood is widely underappreciated, and even the recent live-action version of his character in Titans didn't really stand by himself, with him having direct ties to Trigon, who is his father in the show, instead of just worshipping Trigon. I know he's always been somewhat connected to him, but he wasn't his son before. At least not any version of him that I've known in the comics. I personally feel Brother Blood stands on his own and prefer his own more bloodied past in the comics. I would love to see this version of his story brought to life in a standalone film. Honestly, it'd probably be pretty terrifying. Like, Brother Blood is scary, and he just doesn't get enough hype. Like, he's awesome in a scary way. Number 2, Doctor Doom. I mean, Doctor Doom isn't really so much forgotten by many of us. He is admittedly beloved by so many fans, but when it comes to the MCU, it does feel like he's been forgotten. He's one of the greatest, most complex villains around, and yet we haven't seen a live-action adaptation of him in years. So I'd argue when it comes to the films, at least, he has been forgotten. I would love to see a version of this character as a lead in his own film. Honestly, I don't even think you would actually even need to start with his origin. Doom has such a rich history as a character, there are many points you could feasibly begin his story from and focus on. I'd even say you don't necessarily need to have the Fantastic Four in his film. Now, while the FF did help to shape him, in the modern era, he's very much a villain who stands on his own and who could easily be matched up to fight against any hero. And also, you could play with the fact of like him being a villain, but there also being some heroic elements, I would say, to who Doom is at times. Number 1, Clayface. Clayface is one of those villains who I don't think honestly just gets featured enough, and definitely has not been featured enough on the big screen. That is for sure. The interesting thing about Clayface, at least in regards to the main version of the character I'm most familiar with, Basil Karlo, is that he can transform into pretty much anyone he wants, which makes him an exceedingly interesting character in terms of how he could be depicted on the big screen. You could either have a series of different actors playing him as sort of a collective, or one actor who just gets to basically become the master of disguise, which honestly would probably be super fun. Either way, I think he's very intriguing in terms of his abilities. He is also surprisingly complex, having been redeemed a few times over the years, and even becoming, for a time, a member of the Bat family.